Well, good morning, guys. I've been outside playing with the old XB. It's a strange car. It's got XB front end, XB rear end, XC doors, XC interior, and XB dashboard. I think somebody's, had an XC and they've, swapped a few parts over and whatnot, but it is actually an XB. It still remains the gift that keeps giving. It just blows me away how wrecked it is, and how it still keeps giving up really cool parts. It's actually got retractable seat belts in it, in the front. Now they've been down beside the seat, where the retractable seat belts actually mount inside the B pillar, reversed basically, and so the spool is inside the B pillar. Well, these have been put on externally and flipped around so that the spool faces outwards and is mounted pretty much in the original locating spot where the standard seat belts were mounted. So you've got this like spool, external spool. It looks pretty shocking, and it's probably unroadworthy and whatnot. But it did have these covers, from an XC. Now, because the spool was mounted externally, normally it would be mounted internally in that area there, but because it was mounted externally and low, what they've done, so the spool was sort of mounted there, what they've done, they've cut a little slot out of there so that the belt could feed up through there when they pull it down. That's easily repaired. And it also had these little doovie whackers up high on the B pillar, so that's the cap that goes over it. So they need to be cleaned up. These I'll definitely need to re-chrome them because they were rusty, and they're a little bit abrasive and they will chew away at the seatbelt strap. So I'm going to use these. I'll send them off to Vinnie's tomorrow, or whenever I can get there, and get them re-chromed. They'll come back nice and smooth so that they won't be abrasive on the seatbelts. But I've been down to the local wreckers down the road there, Harvey's. It turns out that the better seatbelt setups to modify into this car are out of one of these new late model Commodores. Although they have a slide adjuster on the B pillar to raise or lower the where the belt comes out, and I can't do that on these B pillars. So I'm going to use these. That's why I'm going to use these, because they're sort of a static point on the B pillar, and it's high enough for pretty much the average person. $40 each. So this was a job I wasn't intending on doing. I was just intending to clean up those seat belts or buy a new set, or repair what I've got. But this is a great result. So it gets me around that problem of having to buy new seat belts, like for $500, $600, $700 I've seen them for one of these cars, or putting substandard, cleaning up those old worn out bloody seat belts. So it's a great result. Cheap out. It's a cheap out, and you get the convenience of the retractables. In the XW, I mean, yeah, it's nice to have that old nostalgic bloody seat belt that you got to adjust, but they're a real pain in the butt, really. So yeah, I'm pretty chuffed. It's a great result. So it's sort of thrown a little spanner in the works at this stage of the game. It just means another little modification. And a little bit of running around, because I have to go to the wreckers and pull these belts out, and but it's what we do. So yeah, so I'm going to repair these this morning. I'm going to insert a piece of steel in behind there, and just bog over the top of that. So yeah, so the steel will hold it because it's been bent in. The steel will straighten it up again, and just bog it bog it, and then I'll upholster them in the same brown fabric that we're using for everything else, and they will look stunning. And of course the seat belt will protrude out of there. Anyways, onwards and upwards. So it's time to reacquaint myself with the doors. Take all this rubbish off. It's pretty fortunate. These doors are in really good condition. There's very little rust in them. Yeah, I want to do some, I can't wait to do, say, a video on the plenum, which will be a total, dedication to that task. Well, that didn't survive, and didn't think it would either. Now I am going to spend the time and take these out properly, because I actually like these clips. Oh, there's an easier way. My God. Just totally disregard what I told you about getting these clips out on video 9. Yeah, so you pull the heel out first, you slide it forward and pull the heel out first. They just fall out. Oh, I haven't broke. It's not a bad strike rate though, got them all out, except for that one. The little caps that pop into the door where the door card mount to, the little plastic caps, I'm actually going to leave in. I'm going to respray all the brown for sure. The reason why I'm going to leave those in is because I've tried to remove 4 and I've destroyed 4. They're just not coming out, they're just breaking. And I think we just start dropping bolts, eh? They're all 7/16. Big washer one goes at the front. And there's another big washer one which is down the bottom here. And the top one is just a standard washer one. Well, g'day guys. I'm lacking inspiration to pull those bloody doors apart. Yeah, I'll have to really get my head around that. Getting those windows out of the, getting the glass out of the door frames is I don't know. Yesterday I had a crack at it, but just yeah, couldn't get my head around it, and you've got too many other things on the go at the minute. So yeah, I'm still sort of finishing off, all of the little stuff. The parts fairy's been again, and she's bought these for me. These are the rear shocks that Stuart quite coolly pointed out were the shocks, the original shocks were absolutely rooted because they were squashed in and didn't want to sort of recover. So on his advice, I've gone and bought a nice new pair of shocks for the rear. Fronts are fine. The bushes, the seals for the brakes will be here on Thursday. They're coming down from Queensland, and I found these. Yeah, $20 for the pair. So that's pretty cool. Upper and lower door seals for all doors, all rear spares stuff. So that's all the door seals, because I actually need them for when I paint the car, or when I do the body work. To gap the doors and to get the body sorted. I want to put all the new seals in, do the body work, and then take them out and paint it, of course, and then put them back in. So that's pretty cool having those. What else have we got? Oh, yeah, we went down to the Wreckers today and bought a set of retractable seat belts for the front. Yeah, so they fit into the B-pillar quite nicely. I've done all the checking. In fact, actually, I'm quite surprised there was no reinforcement for where that bolt goes through. It's only just basically standard steel that bolt goes through. No, it wasn't reinforced or anything like that, so I was quite amazed. Anyways, I'm going to play. I'm going to probably do other things rather than those doors. I'll get onto those doors another day. Okay, these are the stalks that I've retrieved from the XB. Are very, very rusty looking. And the rats have been playing in there. Make little nests everywhere, so yeah, there's a lot of rats in that car. Sandblast it, and I'll probably paint that. They'll clean up okay. Here's one that I prepared earlier. One rivet holds that strap in place. Okay, one rivet there. Onto that. But on the Commodore seatbelts, there's two rivets. It's time for a little bit of instant gratification, just a little bit of upholstery just to keep the spirits hot. I seem to be racing ahead of things, and I've just got to get, I've got to slow down, get things under control again. I've gone down this tangent of getting, seatbelts, retractable seatbelts for the fronts. It's added a couple of days' work, really. They were cut, they had notches cut out of the bottom of them. So I've just inserted a piece of steel in the back and just put a bit of bog over the top. Funny, the bog's almost the same colour as the plastic. Yeah, so I'll just quickly upholster these. It'll make me feel good, and it'll get them out of the road as well. So.
Come up pretty good. Not as easy as I thought they'd be. I thought these would be easier than the dog legs. Tiny little bit of puckerage just there. It's just ever so slight. I mean, you'd have to be down on your hands and knees to spot it, but you know, once all the seals are in and everything's finished off, you're just not going to notice it. But you've got a little accidental fold just in that corner there. Yeah, see, that looks fantastic. All the way down there. So there we have it. 2 fully upholstered retractable seatbelt covers. They both turned out brilliantly. The second one always turns out better than the first, especially around the top. I managed to cover that tiny little piece of plastic. There was just a little jutting piece of plastic out there. Managed to get some fabric over that, so that's cool. But yeah, real happy with those. The most amazing thing is they were free and unexpected. When you reach the end of the seatbelt, you'll see a strip of seatbelt fabric which is wedged into the steel. You've got to hoik that out because there's a steel pin through there. Well, there'll be some sort of pin. There we go. Okay, you've got to push that pin out. Sort of flatten that off as much as you can with the hands that you've got remaining. You're going to pull that out. Being bloody careful, don't let go of that. You've got to give it a bit of a wind up. I'm going to go 2 extra turns, so it puts a bit more bedoing onto the spring. Okay. You can actually feel added resistance, which is quite cool. I hope 2's enough. It should be. But you know, it's pretty simple to go an extra rotation. So you pull this back through, poke it back in there. Put your pin back in. Pull through and seat it. You've got to make sure that goes back into its little position, because otherwise it'll create a lump, and that will probably restrict the Alright. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if you can see the sunset. It's almost over now. Going to fit the retractable seat belts. I've got it marked out here. I'm going to attempt to fold the steel back just to retain some strength on this bottom edge. You can't fold it back because the seatbelt
spool will clash. That's excellent, guys. It looks butcherous, and the reason why I'm doing it is because that surface there needs to be rounded, okay, to prevent wear on the seatbelts. This little notch needs to be there so that the seatbelt can actually lock into it. Big difference, eh? Success. So you have it, all finished. I've still got to cover the top half of the B-pillar in the matching fabric, but we'll get onto that momentarily once the car's painted. Now I've got something to show you. Okay, that fuse box. I don't know if that's standard or not. The reason is, it seems to be hanging down long. And someone has kindly cut into here, okay, to fit over that. Okay, so what a mess that's been. It's just butchered. Everything's been butchered. I mean, there's loom, parts of the loom which are sandwiched fucking everywhere. Don't really like it. Yeah, there's a big wad of wires here, and that's buckled. It's buckled that out, you know, and I want this all sitting flush again. So I think this has all been butchered in at some point. There's wires on the outside. That's really wrong. There's absolutely nothing right about that. And the funny thing is, they're still those old shitty old fuses. Actually, I think they're more modern than the fuses that they originally came out with. But I wouldn't mind going more modern again and getting it right up out of the road. Absolutely not. Okay, we've got rust here, got rust in there, we've got rust down there, but Jesus, and we've got that big nasty bit of rust up the top there, but that guard is bang on. Okay, we've got that rust there. Got a little bit of rust up on the top there. Zoom in on that. What a guard. No dents. Surprising. There was no bog in it, there was just high fill. The other side, it's a complete opposite. Absolutely zero rust. Yeah, no, there's a little bit of surface pitting there, but you know, we will have to cut that out, I'm sure. But nothing in the bottom of the dog leg down there. But there's a dent. And it's not a bad one. It's just below the sort of I think they call this the swage line, you know, the line that runs down the side. It's just below that. And that had a bit of bog in there, probably, it was about 2 millimeters of bog in there. So it's not a major, and it runs, you can actually feel it in there. It runs along there and down to about there and then back. So maybe a car park dent or something. This horrible thing here. Don't like it. But and it's sucked in a little bit too, so I'm going to see if I can get that out a little bit before I start doing the bodywork. That's the old LPG filler. Yeah, so, good news. I scored a door, front driver's door, and it's really, really good. There's very little rust in it. There's only one little patch in the bottom corner, so I'll cut that out. The frame's actually really cool. I had a choice of two doors, and this was the best. Still haven't got the dashboard out. Looking forward to doing that. I've been busy on other things. Just going through my parts boxes. There's that one there, and there's another one there with the other few bits and pieces in it. That stuff there's going inside because it's all sort of delicate stuff. Door rubbers and whatnot. This, I'm not sure if you can see this clip. I did question if it was in the right position. It's actually upside down. It's supposed to come in from the bottom. The old seals on this side were still, you know, they were old, but they still looked okay. And when I got and I did this side first, and when I did the other side, they were just completely shot. So I thought, I just assumed that they'd both be in pretty much the same condition. That's the one out of the car. And it's in pretty good nick. Okay. It's got steel inside it. Okay. These ones are just like a little rubber boot with no steel. You can turn them inside out. They're flimsy. And the problem is when you're trying to sort of locate the pin into the caliper, it's so easy to catch these things. So easy. Like I caught the lip just on the first one. I just caught the lip just slightly, and a little bit of lip came out on the front of the on the front of the pin when the pin came all the way through. Whereas these are harder. They're a true seal. They're a proper seal with a steel. Oh, I wonder if I can take that steel, take the rubber off it. That's the original seal. So I've taken the ring out of it, the steel ring, and inserted it into this seal, which is annoyingly flimsy and so easy to damage. Oh yeah, got to keep that steel ring. It's like a retaining clip. Okay, it retains the seal. Now on the other side, they weren't there. See, that seal's in good nick. Oh, it's a little bit damaged on one edge. Yeah, if you do these, make sure you get hold of these retaining clips and keep them. Put it on the new seal and whack it in, and it just makes it all nice and tight. Okay, because they don't come with a retaining clip. Oh yeah, you gotta lift that caliper too, otherwise you're gonna catch the lip of the seal. Oh, perfect, absolutely perfect. Good result. So the question is, do we need the retaining clip? It certainly helps. There is no retaining clip in this. Maybe that's how they are selling them these days. Maybe the brake people are satisfied that that's sufficient. You don't need the... It's just the frame to the seal, basically. That brake has got all four in it, but this brake doesn't, because I don't have the seals, the old seals. Well, we've got no choice. We're just going to go with how it is. Because it's so windy outside, it's horrible in here when it's windy. Well, it's horrible in here when it's windy and I've got the door open. Alright guys, well that's it for tonight. Second big night in the shed. It's pretty windy outside. It had a few spots of rain, so fingers crossed we might have a wet day tomorrow and I might come home early, so who knows. Yeah, so I've got those brakes finished. You know, it's always a pain in the butt when things don't go exactly how you have in mind. But no, the result's fine. You know, I certainly do prefer the Gerlach brakes over the PBR, though. It's just me. I think they're just a finer product. You know, finer in their engineering. You know, finer in their performance. You know, the way that the slides work and everything, and the seals and everything. The repair kit for the Gerlach brakes is so much better than the repair kit for the PBRs. But if you've got PBR brakes, don't worry about it. You know, you've seen me fudge my way through it. Two main things I need to do is clean up that diff and the dashboard biggies. That dashboard I'm actually going to reupholster before I start onto the body proper. I'm really eager to show you what I've got in mind for that. It's just going to look cool. And yeah, so look, I hope you enjoy this video. Once I get through all of this, you know, the reconditioning of all the parts, then you know we're onto the real stuff, the body. And I know there's a couple of guys who've talked to me about, you know, they want the plenum rebuild, you know, quite a comprehensive video on that, and I definitely will do that because that sort of stuff is absolute fun. Actually, you know, one of the worst repairs, that's the one that's really plaguing me out of all of the repairs on this car, the one that's really troubling me is this one down here. Is this one here. That is a gnarly bit of rust. You know, it's not that bad, but it's got rust in there, rust there, and rust there, and the whole corner's missing really. But that shape is so important to get right. There's different bloody angles and curves, and that is a really tricky repair because it's so in your face, and it's, you know, plenum's easy because nobody sees it. But this one here, get that wrong and that whole rear quarter is destroyed. You know, it'll scream. Oh, one question. I'd love your feedback. Do we leave the car looking like a taxi? But I honestly cannot see the point in wasting good money on extra paint to paint the roof when I'm going to do a vinyl top. Of course I will fix every single bit of rust and check every edge, all of it, you know, don't worry, I won't, you know, I won't miss rust. There's going to be, you know, I'll take it back to as far as I need to. But to be honest, I can't see the point in painting it. I mean, I might give it a whack of, you know, epoxy, you know, sand that back, you know, but there's no point in stripping it back to bare metal. Tell me what you think, let me know, and I'll listen to you. Alright, see you guys.